Welcome to MMO Grinder Sidequest, where I take a look at early open or closed betas, subscription trials, and simpler titles, giving you a quick first impression. Today I'll be looking at Hyper Universe, a Nexon-published foray into the MOBA genre with a 2D twist. Hyper Universe ran a pretty aggressive ad campaign on YouTube for a while, but that wasn't quite the only reason there was word being spread around this title. The game is still in early access, costing $15 to play until its apparent free-to-play launch, so let's take a look at what we've got so far. The graphics are a solid offering. There's more detailed characters than what we usually see from the MOBA genre. Well, the top-down ones at least. This is a 2D offering, and maps are low in variety at the moment, only following a space and fantasy theme, but each one looks well enough for the job it's doing. Smite still graphically blows this out of the water in both regards, but there's a decent middle ground look to this game, and character models are flowing, bouncy, and very, very tits. The artwork and models for many of the women tend to err on the sexy side of things, with many of them busty and or wearing cleavage-revealing outfits, though there's plenty of variety in the characters' looks, especially with plenty of weird creatures and pretty boys to toss in the mix as well. Still, the female hypers seem to be getting the majority of the attention.
I wonder what's coming next!
Music is a bit on the eclectic side, offering a pretty good rock track in the lobby, the standard epic-sounding track for the main theme, and fitting tracks for the fantasy and sci-fi themed stages. Sound work, though, can be very repetitive, and Hyper Universe makes the mistake of making very repeatable sounds play the same clip with each use. You'll lull yourself into a trance with the rhythm of your standard attack pattern, only to be ripped right out of it if you're playing alongside Signal and get to hear pew pew, pew pew every time it shoots. The voice acting is aggressively okay, but there's some standout cringe to be had here and there. As I made mention, what sets this MOBA apart from the massive Dota clones that burst the MOBA market bubble back in 2015 is that the entire game is controlled in 2D. You can only move left or right, or ascend and descend ladders, springboards, or drops. Think Grand Chase, or if you're a true Nexonite, Maple Story, as the game is more or less a MOBA platformer. With this in tow, attacks can only come from the left or right, unless you're the victim of a sneaky ladder drop, but running back towards your base is only going to be done in one direction. This might seem like it would be a lot easier to make sense of the battlefield, but teamfights are still that chaotic mishmash of particle effects while yelling, "Where's my character?" and "What? How did I die?" that you've come to expect from these titles. Character balance seems a little off, as I got Blue Rose down pretty quickly, utterly destroying the forced AI matches that the game starts you out in, and holding my own well enough in PvP. Yet immediately noticing how utterly useless her short-range ultimate feels compared to one like Tatiana's, who just calls down an absurdly long-lasting and large area damage-causing helicopter strike. I'm not sure if we'll see too much work put into that kind of category, which is cause for concern in these kind of games. Min-maxers can rejoice as the item system is in this game, allowing you to set up multiple builds from a massive amount of options out of the game, and once selected, are earned in a pretty linear use gold to upgrade kind of fashion. There's no skill upgrade system with each level during matches, though, with a possible exception of automatically unlocking your ultimate at level 6, so just expect an all-around boost with each level up. While lanes are usually the straightforward pattern of 2 defense towers and a core, this changes slightly by map, and the other levels are used to farm mobs for experience, gold, and power-ups in addition to minion laning. This can also weaken enemy defenses or spawn siege units, assisting with the very few lanes that you'll have to push. I suppose that's another reason I'm interested in this game's playstyle. I'm not forcibly assigned to a section like I'm working for a department store. Controller support is pretty decent as long as you're not hoping to spend most of your playtime yelling at teammates. It's a bit wonky to have to select certain menu items by moving the mouse cursor with the joystick, instead of just letting you switch through all the clickables. In-game, though, it feels far better than using the standard MOBA setup of letter keys for attacks, while using the arrow keys to move. 2D platformers just always feel better to me with a controller, and the buttons are mapped out usefully and smartly. I will say that the joystick dead zone should be adjusted, though. There were far too many times that I'd accidentally cling to a ladder while trying to flee, turning an easy escape into a cheap-feeling death. While using the D-pad was far better and more fitting with the static nature of the movement, I was finding an odd issue with that, as moving forward while attacking would suddenly have me stuck moving automatically unless I pressed another direction. It's a bit of a toss-up and a struggle there. So this is a MOBA, and the MOBA assholes are just going to be drawn to this sort of thing, taking any opportunity to play aggressively, glory hound, and blame anyone but themselves for their failures. You know, just because you're playing as a selfish teenage girl doesn't mean you have to act like one. That doesn't mean everyone's an asshat, of course, as my very next PvP match had a very communicative and cohesive team that tore through the enemies with little effort. Much better stuff. You'd think it would happen more often with this result. Of course, the game is in the dreaded mixed tug-of-war over on Steam, and it stems pretty heavily based around the fact that players have little faith in Nexon and are wondering why it's sitting in early access instead of just moving over to free-to-play. Absolutely nothing else is being brought up whatsoever.
I'm Alandra, and have I got some exciting news for you!
Alright. I normally wouldn't talk about this in a first impressions video, but I'm pretty sure more than a few of you have already paused the video to start raging about this. Nexon did something pretty damn polarizing to this game. It's something that, had not I nor anyone else had told you about it, I guarantee you would not have noticed, and to be honest, that's about the stupidest reason for it. Apparently in Alpha, a forum thread got a bit out of hand regarding the art of specific female hypers, and due to this, Nexon decided to make minor changes to the artwork and models, reducing the low cuts of more cleavage-exposing outfits, and giving a few of the characters a minor mandatory breast reduction. No, I'm not fucking kidding. Apparently this was some sort of compromise, and honestly, these are still very tits designs, which makes me ask the obvious question. Why bother in the first place? There are going to be no winners in this current stupid culture war going on, and doing something like this is just going to draw more attention to it, rather than even address what problems people were apparently having, instead pissing off a much larger group of people. I personally don't care as it doesn't affect my enjoyment of the game's systems, but the changes are so minor that it doesn't even make sense as to why they even did it. We're talking like hiking up some camisoles or reducing an H cup down to a G. Hell, there are even pushback mods for this game that alter it back to the original art, or even make it far more lewd than it was. It's not like I'm defending Nexon here. Trust me, I'm not. This was a really, really stupid decision that absolutely no one will benefit from. One that's even managed to make multiple people not only create a patch to restore the original models and art, but one that makes the artwork and characters even more busty and lewd, whatever flavor you prefer, I guess. Since the game is still tagged as an early access, the only way to play this game will be to pay for Founders Pack. There seems to be absolutely no shop within the game, which, while I'm thankful they aren't trying to double-dip their apparent beta testers, it makes it hard to figure out exactly what they'll be trying to offer for cash in their free-to-play conversion. If I were to wager a guess with the standards of this genre, we can expect hypers not in the rotation to be sold to players for in-game currency as well as paid currency, and also the classic cosmetic items. Though the current system in place has locked those cosmetic items into a convoluted crafting system that results from your winnings from a lucky box. With the absolutely absurd system in place, and having opened over 20 boxes without getting a single repeat of the components I needed to create something, I have yet to earn a single cosmetic, making me think loot box sales will be where most of the purchase options will reside. Remind me to write Overwatch another thank you letter. I am legit annoyed by this thought, but at the very least it is just cosmetic. Still a complete trash fire system, though. Overall, Hyper Universe is a game that I'm still very interested in playing further, but it's not something I can wholeheartedly recommend getting until it goes free. Unless your moral compass or Nexon's weirdly self-aware marketing of the title is stopping you, I'd at least encourage checking out this new perspective on the long burst genre. This has been an MMO Grinder Sidequest, and it's time I logged out.